Welcome to the Thriving Misfits, the podcast where we celebrate resilience, embrace diversity, and challenge norms. I'm your host, Fyiona Yong, and today's guest is a bold voice in the coaching world and someone who's deeply committed to growing brave leaders from the inside out. Mel Leow is a ICF Master Certified Coach, Master NLP Practitioner, and founder of the Catalyst Coach, an ICF accredited coaching school with a mission to equip 10,000 coaches to impact 10 million lives over the next 20 years. He's also the host of the 100 Master Coaches show. Wow, amazing. And I heard it's already at 92, episode 92. And also a global platform which is born during the pandemic to honor the mastery and unique paths of top coaches around the world. And he's also the author of several books, including his solo work, Engage, How to Stop Living in Default and Start Living the Life You Desire. Don't we all want to know that? So get ready for a very candid, very future-focused conversation that challenges how we define coaching, success, and whether credentials still matter in this changing world. So welcome, Mel.
Thanks, Fyiona. Just a pleasure to be on the show with you, and congratulations on your numbers of shows that you've already put out there. So well done.
Thank you. I mean, the good part of it is I really enjoy doing that. So it's not a chore. And I always learn so much from my guests. Like, I'm pretty sure yourself as well. So Mel, you and I, we've gotten connected, I think, only through LinkedIn, maybe even during the pandemic. And I've always been watching behind the scenes, what you're doing, all the amazing things around the coaching world. And I'm sure our listeners would like to get to know you a little bit better. So let's kick it off with a fun question. So what's the most non-coachy thing you do that still makes you a better coach?
I like the outdoors, not the extreme type though, but I love my walks, and I used to be running like half marathons before. I've done like 100K cycling thing as well. Like you like the mountains. I've done my own versions of the mountains, and just being out there with nature and breathing the air and just seeing what it brings, right? That peace. I'm just in awe with nature.
Right, right. I mean, that's absolutely mindful as well, which we all need as someone who's coaching others. So a lot of people who first meet me, they know of my corporate career in oil and gas, where I was in finance, and then I was leading digital marketing and transformation projects, and up unto becoming the head of operations. So a lot of people ask me, you have never been in HR. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you coaching people? Why the focus on inclusion? So let's hear a little bit from you and how you came about, your early life. So what were you like as a kid? And were there any early signs you'd one day be in the people development space?
Well, as a kid, I was involved in Scouts. So I was privileged to be a troop leader, which means the leader of all the boys. And I think that taught me a lot of discipline. It also showed me how important it is to work together as a team, right? That whole so-called unlocking the best out of the person. And so this whole experience went into 5 years of being a scout, and that rigor, if I can say that, kind of drilled into me how important relationships are, right? But my first job was in advertising, and I realized that the advertising world is not for everyone. And so very soon, after a couple of years, I left the advertising world and went into the marketing space. So I was a marketer for fast-moving consumer goods like Colgate, Johnson and Johnson, and I even climbed that ladder to become like the head of marketing and so on. But I realized that linkage is that understanding of that brand, isn't it? That brand awareness and how can we unlock that brand's potential.
Mm.
And then when I look at what I do now these days, it's like, oh, there's a synergy of potential, that word. But now instead of brands, we're actually unlocking the best out of people, right? The human potential, and being able to yeah, it's always a privilege to work with the best out there and helping them even seeing things beyond what they're open to in their daily sense. So in that sense, helping them to see beyond the default.
And I feel that it makes sense that you were in marketing before, because the way you show up on social media, I mean, you definitely stick out from the crowd for the right reasons.
Thank you.
For me, when people ask me how I even got into this space, and right now, as you know, I don't only do executive coaching, I run a lot of workshops,
Yeah.
webinars as well. But actually, it was my previous line manager when I was in operations. He sent us, his leadership team, a link of 160 jobs that would still exist in the next 50 years.
Excellent.
And I was just scrolling through that list, and there were lots of techie stuff. And, I'm definitely not a techie person, just not interested in it. And then there was one category around people development, and there was coaching and therapy. And this is where I thought, okay, I'm quite interested in, again, people development. When I was still in Shell, I was always a huge advocate in terms of inclusion, driving inclusion in the workplace, driving employee engagement. So I thought, okay, I guess this is the only category where I can fit in, and where probably it's going to be difficult for AI, robotics, and all this technology to take over. So that's how I actually got into the coaching space.
Wonderful.
Right.
Wonderful.
So now with Catalyst Coach, you have trained up coaches from around the world. What inspired you to create your own school? I think that takes a lot, right? Like getting yourself accredited, first of all, but then now you're accrediting, you're training up future coaches. How did that idea actually take shape?
Well, it first took shape because I saw a good friend of mine who was actually the first person I met at the door of an ICF event in 2007. I still remember it vividly. And she was so full of life and welcomed me into the ICF world. And from then, I never left the ICF world. But a couple of years later, I decided to head back to Malaysia and bring back some stuff that I've learned through the years as a coach. And I thought that the best thing is to partner this lady and bring a school back to Asia. And yeah, not much risk because she's already established the school in Australia. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm not bad of a trainer. So I kind of reached out to her and she said, yeah, that's a great idea. And so that's what happened. I brought back her school, a diploma in coaching, and I started running that in 2010. But 6.5 years later, running her school outside of Australia, I realized that there were things that I've began to learn about coaching, but because I'm such a person that honors what the syllabus is another person's syllabus, I couldn't teach it in that particular class, if you know what I mean. And so I felt more and more restrictive as the years went by. So at that 7 year itch, and it really exists, I think, I kind of said, I think that's enough of that. And I took a bit of a hiatus. I told her thank you so much, but I think I'm gonna create my own program now. And so I did. Over the next 2 years, I wrote the program, and actually, Catalyst was inspired by my little work that I was doing with social entrepreneurs in Africa. And that word catalyst came about because that initiative in Africa was called Catalyst Conferences that brought me there to speak to people and to give them a sense of hope and allow them to see beyond their circumstances. So that was how Catalyst was birthed. And I realized that as coaches, our role is actually to just be the little catalyst in that person's life for a season and allowing that to be that spark for them to take it on and burn, and
Yeah.
and it's like, flame on for them, right? So that's where Catalyst started, and yeah, I still get so much joy with every cohort that I rolled out together with my partners around the world. It's just, yeah, it's like fuel to my soul, man. Yeah.
I mean, I've experienced going through the whole coaching journey to training as well. And I would say that, yes, as a coach, we endeavor to support others, but actually the entire coaching journey is such a transformation for you as a coach as well. So I'm pretty sure everyone who's going through the Catalyst coach training is going to feel as an individual already transformed and then taking that magic to their clients, their coaching clients. So that's just wonderful. And I always remember a conversation that I had with a friend at that time. He left banking and he was trying to figure out what to do next. And he actually went into the ICF coaching training himself. And we met up for coffee one morning because I was in this I would say a tough time due to reorganizations, having to, lay off some of my team members, actually quite a few of my team members, not knowing what to do next, also with myself. And he only asked me one question. What is it that you would want to do if there are no financial constraints?
Yeah.
Just one question.
Powerful.
And yes. And all of a sudden, wow, I got that clarity. And of course, lots of crying, but that's how you notice you gain the clarity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
Now, I mean, we talked offline also a lot around the future of coaching, because in the field of where I am right now, working a lot with the younger generation, previously the young millennials, now with the Gen Z, and probably soon with Gen Alpha. Now, let's talk a little bit about the future of coaching and also like what's your perspective there. And we talked a little bit about that before, but was there ever a moment where you doubted the path of credentialed coaching? I mean, you are running your own coaching school. Was there ever a moment where, you were questioning that?
Well, to be frank, number one, I never saw myself going after these titles, I think all these titles or badges is not for us to wear it as though it's like medals, right? That we wear on our uniform to say like, hey, I've arrived. I really feel that it's a heavy responsibility on hindsight, and this heaviness comes with a lot of realization that we become representation of what coaching is for the person in front of us, right? They may not know what ICF is all about. They may not know what the code of ethics and core competencies are all about. And actually, they don't really care. All they care about is what they're getting out of coaching for themselves. And there's this safe space for them to be speaking all of this in private, right? So this credential, I feel, is a necessary evil. And yet the pride comes when you know that you're going through this rigor yourself, because this is an important process for our own growth. And that kind of stretches us from I guess credential to credential, to kind of say what can we unlearn what can
Mm.
we relearn, and what can we now rest upon when we've arrived in a place, and continue that reflective process, right? So I feel this is more of a journey than a destination.
I definitely agree with you there as well. And again, coaching clients don't necessarily ask you what kind of credentials do you have. That
That's
alone, they
right.
don't even know the difference
Yeah,
between an ACC,
yeah,
PCC, MCC, right?
absolutely.
Like they don't really care. And I think it's your entire persona. But I do believe that going through that journey, learning about the ethics, being non-judgmental, I think is just really helping us to remind ourselves as well, because as a human being, we all have our biases, right? Our unconscious biases. I think that just helps us to also unravel them and being aware of them in order to ensure we don't get caught up in all these biases that we have when we're working with certain coaching
That's right.
clients.
Yeah.
I've been working with also myself, other like coaches and also therapists. And sometimes I feel that those who have a similar path or similar background, they kind of project their own narrative onto you, which you as a client it's not going to be ideal, right?
Yeah,
Because we cannot treat everyone the same way we want to be treated.
absolutely. Yeah.
Now, do you think that coaching can still remain impactful without the structure of whether it's ICF or anything else? So, do you feel that credentials actually provide that necessary foundation? I mean, we talked a little bit about that, but what's your take on that, especially for those we are coaching who are Gen Z, for example?
Yeah. Let's say it, and you said it as well. I have seen um, credential coach that coach at a certain level. Right? I've listened to the recording as well. I'm also a mentor, coach, and assessor. And I've heard as well non-credential coach, or rather credential coach coaching at a certain level. So both sides, whether you're non-credential or credential, when I listen to you coaching, whether it's a coaching demo, whether it's done live or recording or whatever, all these credentials actually does not play that part to actually influence the results that the coachee is getting from the session. I sense that there are other things that are important, like how curious are we remaining in a session? How much care do we have, genuine care and compassion that we have for this human being in front of us? And how committed are we to the person's agenda instead of trying to do all these ticks where, when you send in a recording for a PCC or even MCC, you've got to kind of check in all those boxes so that it reaches those markers that we've set out. But in a real conversation, it's never going to be like that, because the person in front of us is going to go left and then right and then
Yep.
reverse and then talking about the past, and we can't say, oh no, sorry, we don't do therapy, so we're not going to talk with you in the past. It's not going to happen. We're going to flow with wherever the coachee is going to go. And then, as I often say, how good a mirror holder are we? As simple as that, right? And I think as we grow as a coach, the more we realize, the more I realize that my value add is not about me. My value add is how I hold up the mirror to the person, and in a way that honors the person in front of me. And so, if you talk about the younger generation, I believe words like having an open dialogue is very important. Words like getting their feedback and involvement is very important. So, when I listen to all of that, even more so, that we have to be listening at a different level. and not just saying, "Oh, I listen at this level because I'm ACC, and I listen to this level because I'm PCC, and the rest." Right? I think that doesn't matter anymore. It is how we choose to serve the person best in front of us.
Now, we talked about this growing skepticism about the need for credentials. I just mentioned briefly that coaching clients don't even care whether you have a credential or whether you're an ACC, PCC, or MCC, since they don't even know the difference. But what have you experienced or what have you encountered when it comes to the skepticism? Where does that come from usually?
Well, let's take one step back and say, to the clients that do know about ICF, there is now a standard, okay, and they do have in the organization that the ACC level can coach a certain level of seniority, and so the PCC and the MCC. So they have some sort of structures in place. Whether the effectiveness is another question, and so I think the skepticism comes with, I thought we hired a PCC, but the results kind of don't show that just because we hire a MCC or PCC, it is foolproof. So I think some of that comes with um, them seeing the value that they're getting from the coaching and the breakthroughs, stroke transformations that the people themselves are experiencing. Right. So that's one. When we look at an organization that don't even know about ICF, um, it's often compared to all kinds of like mentoring and the other methodologies, right? And they realize that what they want is most important for them. So at the end of the day, the skepticism comes if you are not objectively understanding their needs in that level, then you're missing the boat completely, because we're often caught up bringing in what we think we know and serving the client as per smorgasbord kind of thing. This is my whole list of things that I do. But sometimes that doesn't serve the client as much as if we can customize certain things that we're doing and be able to truly hear the heartbeat of their, well, objective stroke outcomes that they're looking for their people and the organization. So again, it's about being sensitive to the needs of the client, whether it is, that they're open to coaching or not open to coaching. And I'll be frank with you, Fyiona, these days I don't go in with that word coaching, actually a while now. I don't set it up like it's a solution or it's the best thing next to nasi lemak. It's not, right? Because the clients don't value coaching. They value the benefits and the impact that whatever methodology brings. And I think
Yep.
that's the key to kind of helping with that skepticism.
Right, right. Totally agree with you there. And these days, we also have self-proclaimed coaches on social media, on Instagram, who may have not heard about those standards. What's your perspective on that? Like, can we trust these self-proclaimed coaches
Well,
on social media, on Instagram and TikTok?
to the followers of cults and modern cults, like Instagram influencers, it is like that, right? We all are drawn into a persona, or whether it's going to make us happy when we watch them talk or whatever. It doesn't mean that everything that comes out of their mouths are full truth, right? That impacts every aspect of our life. So I think, with that world of information overload out there, and everyone can kind of claim to be that polished whatever they are, there's the need to go back to what is basics, right?
Mm.
And I think some parts of the basic is, are you part of a body that can help with your professionalism and your continuous education? I think that's very key. So I don't really care whether this person came from NLP or this person came from ontological coaching or another brand of coaching
Mm.
that I may have not heard of. But to me, it's about whether they're self accountable or, and hence self proclaimed, or they're part of something bigger, so that there will be some sense of accountability and stewardship to the standards that that group of people hold true. So I wouldn't say that ICF, even though I am part of it for a long time and it is the gold standard, wouldn't say it's the only way, right? So we've got to be careful as we get exposed to all kinds of coaching in that sense, and also to ask the question of how did this particular coach is able to connect with my culture, with my people,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess understand that bit of the business and how it's run, and begin to value add in that way, right? So there is a mix of that need for experience, but then there's also need for that professionalism, and the
Mm.
last part, which is the accountability bit, where we want people who would stay true to what they stand for as a community.
Right, right. That perfect trifecta. So now we're not bashing the ICF model or whatever, but it has been existent for a really long time. Can you remind me again, how long is the ICF stand?
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
Now, things have evolved, obviously, with technology, with digitalization, how younger people now are learning. So, even in schools, curriculums should, I'm not saying they are, but they should be changing. Now, if you could redesign the ICF model today, what's something that you would want to keep, and also what is something that you would want to change immediately?
They just released a new version of the core competencies this month, actually. And when I read it versus the older one, it's added certain keywords, right? Like knowledge, like AI, like technology, all those connecting the dots of what we where we are today. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying that little tweaks like that are effective, and yet sometimes it's just to cover some bits that we're missing off. You know what I mean? It's like, instead of doing a full redo of the house, let's just have a light paint through, and no one knows the difference. But in actual fact, the people living in the house knows the difference. So like I know the difference, and I know that the difference that we're trying to make right now is not enough.
Mm.
So recently I had a chat with a special task force that was set for AI, and I've launched my own coaching AI assistant for managers recently. And I wanted to tap in to see where ICF is, and how I could be a part of that growth, right? So that I'm also in line with ICF, and yet um, in line with what the people need, right, from us. And, and so I realized that there's some places we are actually behind, and we're getting more and more less relevant in that sense. And I think it would take not just the body ICF, because that's a big body, and moving a big ship, it's gonna take a while before you kind of turn Titanic, if you know what I mean. I'm not saying it is Titanic, don't worry. But yeah, maybe we've kind of hit a little bit of an iceberg along the way, and we've got to wake up the fact that there are icebergs around us, and we've got to be more relevant, right? And one of the things I realized as an ICF member since 2007 is that I still believe ICF does not do a good job in really empowering us as the voices of and representatives of ICF to freely go out there and talk about coaching in our version of our expression. It's always, it's got to be in line with what we've approved.
Mm.
So I think that's the bit where I feel like, oh my gosh, then we're going to be stalled with that because we cannot wait till the big ship turns. We've got to, every one of us, help create that ripple effect so that people can see us as relevant, as connected to the heartbeat of the people that we're wanting to serve, and yeah, and not left behind.
Mm. Great. Again, with all these digitalization, with all, we're in this new era. Things need to change. Obviously, we need to start to rethink, to relearn. By the way, right now I'm reading Adam Grant's book. What was it called again? But it's just really talking about relearning, rethinking. Now, I do have lots of new coaches come to me asking for advice, what to do, how to grow the business, and all of these things. But what is your killer advice that you would give to a new coach who's feeling overwhelmed by all the credentials, by competition, and especially self-doubt?
Oh, that's a fully loaded question. Probably take 1 hour to explain that. But very quickly is stop comparing yourself with everyone out there, right? Because when you do, then every one of us will feel a little bit insecure, like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing it. I don't have a podcast like Fyiona. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
so I have to have a podcast now to keep up with her. I don't think we should be thinking that way. I think we should be thinking about, first and foremost, who do you, the target audience that will light up our eyes and expression and all of that. Who are we going to be attracted to? As much as we want people to be attracted to our brand and all of that, and we could create that all in an island, and then bring it out when it's perfect, if you know what I mean. That's not the way. Start where people are also open to you. So on one side, be open to who you think you really want to serve. And when you know that very clearly, because that's a fuel for you and me, right? We can then maybe come up with one thing, not too many things, just one thing, and saying, okay, if I can serve this particular group well, what is one thing that I can offer them that is, I know, unique from my gifting, my strengths, my expertise, my whatever it is, and just start there, right? And after that, then there'll be a little bit of traction. Because one of the things that I realize, and I do work with young coaches as well, when once we kind of graduate them, we don't often just say, okay, bye, all the best, and yeah, I just hope and pray you succeed. You know what I mean? We have gatherings, we have peer sessions, we have ways of bringing external people, showing them how to run a business, for example, showing them different aspects of what we potentially can be doing, right, to get our business up and ready. But one of the key things is being open to deal with our insecurities first. And when we do, that will reveal actually the kind of people that will be attracted to us. It's like I, I I've experienced many things as a, let's say, a manager, right, in the department. and stories of that, stories of failure, stories of the big lessons that I've got to learn in my life and struggles, right? That becomes narratives of ways that I can express that uniqueness, that how I went through certain things along the way. And I think that's what you do as well, Fyiona. When I read your posts, I sense a bit of that heartbeat of yours coming through that thread, right? And I think that's what's gonna make us, I guess, not stand out, but being able to um, really identify with the people that will listen to this message. Yeah. So
I
yeah.
mean, I couldn't have answered it better. And it's very similar to what I always say. You have to find your target audience. And it's the people who you feel where you can add value to their lives. Yeah. You know, not only in the professional space, but also in their personal space. Absolutely. And then also being aware of the talents and the skills that you have. And I would add on even being aware of your own core values and your passions so that when times get tough, especially during the pandemic, we were all struggling, right? Especially coaching, training. We couldn't do any in-person stuff anymore.
Absolutely.
So how do you pivot? But when times get tough, I think if you're very clear about your passion, about the purpose, it helps you to persevere. And I think the other aspect is also, which you highlighted as well, is find that one thing, that niche, right? So I remember in my early stages of becoming an executive coach, someone actually asked me, what do you want to be known for? Yeah. When people think of that word, they should connect it with Fyiona. And at that time, it was 2017. Simon Sinek was bashing the millennials and, being entitled, lazy, and whatnot.
Yeah.
Definitely, I didn't resonate with that as a millennial. And I wanted to amplify that millennial voice and focus primarily on that. Sharing this with other coaches, they also struggle with it to just focus on that one thing because they feel that, oh, what if I'm going to miss out on this opportunity or that opportunity? But we can't be jack of all trades.
Absolutely. Yeah. That reminds me of one of the master coaches that I spoke to, and he said that his focus is not workshop delivery, it's not group work. He focused purely on one-on-one coaching. And at that point of time, I didn't really get it because I'm like, how can one survive just on one-on-one coaching, right? It's like, because I was doing everything. I was doing workshops, I was doing one-on-ones, I was doing teams, and I guess it's not about just connecting to what the client wants of you, but it's also what you want for yourself. So I think for him, he realized that he got his fuel from doing the one-on-ones, and I realized that I also get my fuel from the one-on-ones. But I also know my limitations on how many one-on-ones I want to have a year. So I actually now have a cap of number of one-on-ones that I do a year. It's probably just 5 individuals that I work with in a year. And then the rest, I'll kind of merrily pass it on to my affiliate coaches, and everything works out, right? Because it's also about identifying strengths in others and working in collaboration. I think the key thing about thriving in today's world is this word, collaboration. And
absolutely
being abundant in our mindsets, in the way we approach every engagement, and really honoring the platforms that we're on. So like today, I'm so thankful for you, Fyiona, and this platform. I'm now happily going to call myself a misfit.
Oh, thank you so much. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much, Mel, for having this amazing conversation with me, with us. You've been such an amazing master coach, a mentor, and a true catalyst for brave leadership, and much more than that. Mel today reminded us that while frameworks and credentials provide structure, who we are, it's our courage, our consciousness, it's our commitment to growth, the relearning aspect that makes us truly impactful and where we can add value to our coaching clients' lives. So whether you are a new coach finding your footing or a seasoned one rethinking your path, I hope this episode gave you the space to reflect and reignite your own purpose. And to all our listeners, if this episode resonated with you, please take a moment to subscribe to the Thriving Misfits on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube so you never miss an episode. And as always, we would love to hear what resonated most with you. So drop us a message, leave a review, or share this episode. So thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, keep on thriving, Misfits, embrace your uniqueness, and let's continue our journey of growth together. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.